read ending? Yes, just go ahead. I, Father Kinoti Kiduri, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before this committee in respect of the matters before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you.
Honorable Chair and Honorable Senators, for the record, my name is Morero Boniface Mawera, and I'll be leading this witness in his evidence. To enable the Honorable Chair and the committee follow-up, the witness statement for this particular witness is in the Assembly's documents, volume number 5, pages 14 to 21. And maybe before I proceed, Honorable Chair, can I get an indication as to the amount of time?
How much time do you want?
Yes.
We didn't use it very well. We have done 1 hour 25. So I'll give you 20 minutes.
Very well.
And I'll give the cross-examining team 10 minutes.
Very well, Chair. I'll be able to conclude within that time. So, Father Elias Kinoti,
Counsel.
what do you do for a living?
Well, as my title reigns, I'm a priest, a Catholic priest, but I'm also a teacher in the university, Meru University, and I also am the parish priest of St. Rita Parish in Chiru. I also am the chairman of all the priests, religious sisters and brothers in the Diocese of Meru. In addition to the Open Society, I have been a member of the MYS for the last 2 years since it was inaugurated.
What is MYS in full?
Meru Youth Service, that is.
So you've been a board member of the Meru Service?
Yes, yes, and also a member of the budgeting forum in the county.
So when were you appointed to the Meru Service Board?
It shouldn't be 2 years ago.
Okay.
The corona issue came in and the process slowed.
Are you aware, or rather, have you read the impeachment motion?
Yes, I have.
Are you aware, or rather you can inform the Honorable Chair in this committee, when the governor appointed a husband to the, MYS board?
Should be September.
Okay.
And yeah.
Were you a member of the board?
I still am.
Okay. I think, Honorable Chair, we will not be playing the annex. Annex 2 was played in the morning, and the transcript thereof is at page 50 to 52. So I think of volume 1 of the Assembly's documents. So I'll just proceed with the examination. So when the governor made this appointment, you confirmed that you are a member of the board?
Sure.
Where ordinarily, or who ordinarily would have the documents or the letters of appointment, or this particular letter of appointment for the governor's husband, who would have this letter?
According to the Meru Youth Service Act, the board recruits its own member staffs, and where need me, through the consultation with the Meru and the Meru County Public Service Board.
Okay. So, does the MYS board have a copy of this letter of appointment?
We don't have any. I have not seen any if there is. And we haven't had a meeting since before election, that is.
What happened on the 17th of October at the Igoji Boys Secondary School, the former Igoji Boys Secondary School?
Well, I was actually in class doing my normal lectures, and I saw a call from the bishop, which I have to pick any time, apart from probably when I'm in mass. And I excused myself from the class and took a walk and listened to the bishop. The bishop asked me whether I have time to go and have a briefing with the bishop, or with the honorable governor, on how the MYS came to be located at the Igoji Boys School, since I am a member of the board as well as a priest, and I was privy to both processes.
So, what happened specifically?
So once I told the bishop, it's fine, let me go and brief Excellency. I asked the bishop, is the meeting at our office or where is it? And the bishop told me the governor is going at the center. So I am to go to the center. It's quite far because I am on the other side of the town, that is in Chiro, which is almost 40 to 45 kilometers to Egoji. So I picked my things from class and asked the students we could meet another time, drove to Egoji. On my way, I called the county secretary to be sure where we need to meet, where I need to meet the governor. And the county secretary told me the governor is going at the center. So I drove to Egoji. There were other two priests, Father Lawrence, who runs Ambonding Primary School right in the same premises, sharing the same piece of land with the MIS, but on different corners. And there was also the PA to the bishop, Father Patrick Misheni. So I also called Father Patrick to ask him, where are you guys and what can we, where do you need to meet? Then Father Lawrence also called me, asked me whether I can come to highlight exactly what transferred between the MIS and the land that the church seats its schools.
So, what attempts did you make to address these issues about the land with the governor? What attempts, when you arrived at the former Egoji Boys Secondary School, what attempts did you make?
Actually, long before I arrived, I asked the bishop, are we going to have a short brief meeting? I asked where the meeting will be. I asked the CS, the county secretary, whether there is a briefing or why we're going to have it. So in my knowledge, as I went with the great goodwill, I knew that we'll have a short briefing on with the bishop, with His Excellency, on the processes that are taken place between the MIS and the church on the premises. But on arrival, I was told that Her Excellency said she is not going to meet anybody in bond rooms. That is not a meeting, not an issue to be dealt with in the bond room. So I was a little confused. Do I go back? What do I do? Anyway, I went and sat. She had already started talking and doing cross-examining people every time. And then at some point, she asked, is there a member of the board? And I looked around, there was nobody. So I was compelled by wish to give some information to just say I'm around. And I went and standing, and she asked me what happened, that the land that belongs to the county was leased to the county by the diocese. And actually I remember saying that's a question that we would have dealt with in a more formal setting, because those are processes that happen in a formal setting. For me, I've always known that land to belong to the church, because according to the Trusts Act that is has been repealed now, occupation and the use over 60 years grants such rights to lease the land if one has used it. So that's my understanding.
What evidence do you have before this committee to show what transpired?
There is the video that was taken during
Chair,
that.
Honorable Chair, that is Annex 15, but because you are pressed for time, we will not be playing it. The transcript is on page 108 to 114 of the volume 1, the impeachment motion. The transcript is from page 108 to 114. So, in that video, what is the governor accusing the Catholic Church of?
Well, it was really disheartening because she accused us of being at a cartel. Actually, she mentioned the bishop. I think the term bishop may mean quite different things to different people. A Catholic bishop is not one of those guys you mention anywhere. You see, has not even responded. A very humble man. And we as priests and the Catholics there were taken aback as cartels. And she actually said that this is how your money has been stolen from the county. Meaning now this lease is illegal, the ownership of land is illegal, and there must have been a cartel that sat to decide, you know, this piece of land belongs to us and we can lease it and make money. In fact, leasing this land took us quite a long time as a board. We looked at Igembe and Tigania, and our argument was Igembe and Tigania do not have any government institution. As you know, a government institution benefits the local community, and we didn't want to put that institution particularly in Imenti. And it was not discrimination. It is a way of sharing resources for the community. So we looked around and we...
Honorable Chair.
Right.
I think that is enough. Honorable Chair, I want to refer the witness to volume 2 of the governor's documents, specifically at page 113, the lease. And maybe you can read aloud paragraph B on page 113.
The landlord has caused to be erected on the said plot a building known as Diocese of Meru, registered trustees, Igoji Boys School, here after referred to as the property.
Who is the landlord in this context?
It is the Diocese of Meru.
And the lease is between, who are the parties to the lease rather? Who are the parties to the lease?
Please come again.
Who are the parties to the lease? Or this lease is between who and who?
The Diocese of Meru and Meru County.
We can then turn to page. So, what facilities are available at the former Igoji Boys Secondary School and now the Meru Youth Service Center? What facilities?
There is a big building which is a dining where the youth eats. It was a high school. There are there is a dorm, a big one. There are office buildings which were classes, and we transformed them as MYS into offices.
Who developed these facilities?
The church has developed the last 60 years.
Why has the county government been paying lease premiums to the Meru? Why has the county government been paying lease premiums to the Diocese of Meru?
Because of these facilities, and the church has used the land for the last 60 years, put its money there.
Okay. Honorable Chair, I will further refer the witness to page 137 of still volume 2 of the governor's documents. You can turn to page 137. The report from the office of the governor. Are you there?
Sure.
From the heading of that document, or rather the letterhead, from which office does that document emanate?
County government of Meru.
Okay. Which specific office?
The office of the governor.
Okay. Is the report dated?
No, I don't see a date anywhere.
You can turn to page, I think the last page of that document. You can turn to page 153, which has annexures, but the report ends at page 140. Is that report signed?
Sorry, which page, 153 or 140?
Check page 140 first. Because the rest are annexes to that report, Honorable Chair.
Council, I don't see any sign.
The report is not signed.
Yeah.
Can that report be safely relied upon by this committee to form an opinion?
It's difficult to rely on something that has no date, no signature, Honorable Chair. It couldn't be a Google document, couldn't be anything, so I'm not sure how reliable this would be.
Does that report, just by a mere cursory look, you can go through the document.
Yes.
On page 138, there is a heading there, I think, community grievances. Is there anywhere in the report where it captures the sentiments of the Catholic Diocese of Meru?
I don't see any council, and that could be a serious omission because the church has its own perspective.
Turn to page 139, where the governor proposes a way forward. You can read it aloud.
Governor to establish a task force to look into the issues raised by all actors and forward the report with recommendations. All actors to be involved and be part of the task force.
Who are the actors in this context?
Should be the Catholic Church, Diocese of Meru, the county, as well as the community, I want to believe.
But the report does not capture the sentiments of the Catholic Diocese.
Yes, that's left out.
Is the governor legally empowered? Or which public body is legally empowered to investigate allegations of grabbing of public land?
As far as I know, if I'm not wrong, is the National Land Commission. That's the one that deals with these issues.
So how would you describe the conduct of the governor in relation to the accusations of land grabbing against the Catholic Church?
Actually, the reason why I came as a witness is because of the abusive nature with which this was done. Not so much as who owns the land and who doesn't, because I think that doesn't rest in this petition. But I personally felt very humiliated. I felt very abused verbally. I felt my church belittled. I felt there was a possibility of civil unrest. In fact, I didn't stay until the end.
Give a few global examples of cases where religious mobilization has led to civil strife.
Sure, you nice question. I felt that now as a Catholic and as a priest, I was put on a situation where I would be easily abused because I am part of a cartel. I am part of the stealing of county money, a county that I've been working with day and night. And I remember I woke up myself. I got to the two priests, being their chairperson. Although I wasn't there in that capacity, I was there as a member of the MIS, and I asked them, fathers, can we leave? And then the DCC, I think, came and told me, no, please don't leave. So by good luck, the county secretary called me because I told him I'm going. So I picked my phone and I went to receive it, and I didn't go back. And the reason was the governor and put emotions and passion into the people on a negative perspective, that we were there trying to protect something we had stolen. And the crown would not even allow to hear from us, from me. And it reminded me of issues of terrorism that the world is dealing with. This how it starts small like that. You put one group over the other. It reminded me, I teach government and development and ethics. One of the classes I teach is the causes of genocide. I remember in Rwanda, how it starts small with Alinda saying something. It reminded me cases, experiments of Pavlov, people who tested when authority says something, what is the likelihood of many people following? It's very possible because we have a big number of people whose education is low and literacy is low, and the hearing from Alinda that this group is now classified, is dehumanized. It's okay to hurt them. So these cases all over the world help us understand the way I felt, and the reason why I felt it is important for the nation to know, as a leader, one has to have boundaries on what you say in public.
Even assuming that you've said that this is not the forum to investigate questions of land grabbing by the Catholic Church, but even assuming that the governor was right in those allegations, would the governor's conduct be excused in light of the accusations against the Catholic Church?
You know, there is also something called the sin of calumny, saying the truth where is not needed, or where to put other people at risk. That's exactly what happened. Let's assume we are thieves. We have stolen the land. Do we deserve to be put at a risk of being attacked? Would you yourself want to be put in a situation where you can be attacked, where your faith is vilified because a few are thieves? I think there's a decorum for dealing with that.
Let us turn to the Honorable
Chair. Your time is up, 20 minutes. I'll add you 3 minutes to wind up.
Okay, 3 minutes. I'm very thankful. Let us turn to the issue of the appointment of the governor's husband to the Meru Youth Service Board. You've told this honorable committee and the chair that the appointment was made on 30th of September?
Yes.
And that the incident that happened at the Meru Youth Service Center was on the 17th of October. After the appointment.
Yes, they happened after.
Had the governor's husband, prior to the meeting of 17th, visited the Meru Youth Service Center?
Sure, he did. And they came up with this idea that the land is grabbed by the diocese. So it seems he's doing very executive work, looking into the details of all that happened. While actually in the Meru Youth Service there is no position as that, and if he is appointed from a point of probably CSR, it's understandable, but then I think that was slightly outside the mandate of such a office, which in itself does not exist in law.
I think that is all for this witness, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. The attorneys for the governor, cross-examine.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Father Elias.
Evening,
I note
Counsel.
that we share
How are
name,
you?
so you're my namesake. Good
Yes.
evening. First of all, confirm that you're here in your personal capacity. You've not been sent by the church.
I am not sent
represented.
by the church. I came personally, particularly because I'm a psychologist also. I
Thank you, thank you.
understand
I think
how
you
behavior.
have answered the question. Confirm also that you're not here on behalf of the Meru Youth Service Board.
Yes, I am not on behalf of Meru Youth Service.
Let us go to your witness statement as captured under volume 5, specifically at page 16, paragraph 7. You accuse, page 16, Chair, of volume 5, that's paragraph 7. You accuse the governor that soon after the elections in 2022 August, she began public incitement and vilification of rallies, in her rallies, against various leaders. And you quote them, including the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru. Is that true?
Yes.
Has the Speaker raised any complaint of being vilified by the Speaker, by the Governor?
I raise it as an interested citizen.
Has the Speaker himself raised that concern?
I don't know. I'm not in the know.
Has he sent you to represent
No.
his worries?
No.
You've also brought, rather, tagged the name of the Senator of Meru. Again, has the Senator of Meru raised any issues against the Governor? Has he sent you to represent him?
No.
You have talked of church leaders. Has any church leader sent you to represent him?
I'm sent myself. I'm a church leader.
You're a church leader.
Yeah.
So are you talking about yourself when you say church leaders?
I'm there, and I was with my two brother priests.
You
so,
are
yeah.
an individual. So the words here are in plural, leaders.
Okay.
Are you representing the other leaders?
I'm presenting myself.
Thank you. You've talked of Njolincheke elders being vilified. Have the Njolincheke Council of Elders complained against the governor?
Not of which I know.
Have they sent you to represent their worries?
No.
Members of National Assembly, has any member of National Assembly again raised any issue with the governor?
I don't know.
You do not know. Yet, this is your statement, and
Ye-
you want this committee to uphold the impeachment on grounds of information that you have no idea of.
Well, I have the idea, I've seen it, I have heard her, and I've seen her point out things about other leaders. So I have an idea. What I do not have is their mandate to represent them, or I'm not yet representing them, but I have seen it as a citizen of Meru.
Thank you. Do you
Order, Father. He is not challenging you. He's making an intelligent understanding of the fact that in paragraph 7, you have negated everything. The only thing you have owned is not church leaders, but you as an individual. So he's wondering, should we still take this as part of your evidence since you have negated it? If you can clarify that further, we have no problem.
Well, if I stand as a church leader, it's undismissible. Probably may not be leaders. But if what I saw and experienced with others who may not have sent me, I don't know whether I should ask a question. Can a citizen represent people who may not read what is going on? Can someone talk about it? That's what I am doing, me included, as a leader.
Thank you. Let's go to the events that took place on 17th of October 2022. You state in your statement that you were accosted by the governor's security detail. Is that still your position?
Yes, as I stood to ask the two priests whether we can leave, as I read the emotions of the group, of the crowd was going up, a number of them came between me and the governor, and I wasn't going to the governor. I was going to the priests. And they started pointing out that you want to hit the governor, and I was like, well, so I left, I sat down, then after I got the call, I left. I realized the situation wasn't.
Have you lodged any complaint of your assault by the governor's security detail?
It's part of this. Or
Have
should I
you made a formal complaint?
Where?
You actually say that it's part of this.
Yes.
I presume you're talking about the impeachment process. Did you petition the Meru County Assembly to impeach the governor on account of you being accosted by a security detail?
I only came as a witness.
Did you come as a witness at the county assembly proceedings?
No.
You did not. Did you record any statement with the county assembly of Meru?
No.
Did you file any affidavit?
This is what I only have. This.
At the county assembly proceedings, did you participate in any way?
Council, I just said no.
You just said no.
Yeah.
You have said that at paragraph 14, page 17, that the governor began inciting the crowd against the Catholic Church and the bishop of the diocese. As a result, the crowd turned rowdy, and as the governor went on a rant falsely accusing the Catholic Church of grabbing public land. Is there anywhere in the impeachment motion that the governor is on record stating that the church has grabbed public land?
On the motion or on a video? The
Videos are part of the motion, so even
yes.
on the videos.
Yes.
Has that been produced in court? I mean, in these proceedings?
I just came in.
Are you able to point us specifically to that part where the governor is calling the church leaders grabbers of public land, accusing them of cartelism, extortion, greed, corruption, and intimidation? Is there anywhere?
If I review the video, I can remember the whole process. Especially when I was talking, because she was interjecting. You couldn't give even a coherent idea. She would interject and say all these things, and there were cameras all over. So I want to believe.
So the answer is you were not able to point us specifically to that place where the governor utters those words.
On the video.
Anywhere. You're not able to do that. It's a no. You're not able to do that.
Well, if I've, the videos provided, but the particular video carried through that time, I remember very well.
Thank you. At paragraph 20, you say that you walked out before the event ended. And
yes.
Later you learned, as confirmed from the video clips before the Senate, that the governor concluded a false rants by conducting a mock prayer.
Yes.
My question is, so the whole event was captured, okay? That part where you're being accosted by the security detail, was it captured?
I have not seen a clip of it.
You have not seen any clip of it. So had you been accosted, we would be seeing a video of
not
that
necessarily, depends with who recorded and not necessarily.
Let's move on to the issue of the ownership of the land where Igoji School is. It is not true that the Diocese of Meru is the owner of that property. It is not true. Is it true or not true?
First of all, Council, I would like to let you know I came as a witness
No,
to
it's a direct question, and you said the governor, rather you were actually invited to that meeting because you had prior knowledge of the facts surrounding the ownership of Igoji.
the leasing of the land.
Exactly. I'm asking you a direct question. The diocese is not the proprietor or owner of that property.
If by proprietor means trust ownership, it is.
Is it the registered owner of that property?
That's different. No.
It is not. I want you to look at page 113 of volume 2 of the governor's response. Page 13. There you will find a lease agreement. Are you able to trace that document?
So I don't have that volume.
Perhaps your counsel can assist you with that volume. 113. Yes. At the recitals clause A, can you read what the lease agreement purports to say?
That is whereas, that's A.
Yes.
The landlord
And
is
the landlord here is the diocese.
yes, is a registered proprietor, less of all that property.
So it is not
leaser.
true, you've just confirmed that the diocese is the registered proprietor. So it is misleading for this lease agreement to purport that the church is the registered proprietor of this property.
The registration reigns county, that's the green card.
County government.
Yeah.
So it is not.
But I would like to tell you I'm not the,
Thank you.
I'm not.
Let us go to page 146 of the same document. We do have an historical search of the property. Who is listed as the registered proprietor of that property?
It's a Meru County.
Meru County.
Yeah.
So when the governor then raises questions as to why the Meru County is paying rent of its own property, isn't she within a right to question such transactions?
Yes, but with some
Thank you.
lack
Thank you.
of information, background information.
Thank you very much.
Council, how many more minutes do you need? You have run out of your time.
If I have 3 minutes, Chair, I will conclude.
How many?
3 minutes.
3.
Yes, if I...
Very good, very good, very good. Put your finger on your 3 minutes.
Thank you. Let's go to page 146 of... Page 147, rather, of volume 2 still.
You sure?
Do you see the said document confirming that the title deed to that property was issued on 15th of February 1984?
I see.
To whom was the title issued?
Meru County Council.
Meru County. So when the church states that this is their property and they're entitled to rent for 60 years, isn't it a distortion of facts?
But I'm not here for the witness for the church. You are confusing me. I am not here for
But
that.
your own statement confirmed that you are called by Father Salesio to go and attend to this matter because you had prior knowledge
As
of the
I'm-
issues, but
As a member of the MYS, not as a legal land owner of the diocese. So ask me things that pertain to me.
let's talk about your membership at MYS. You are a co-opted member of the board,
According to the Act, Section 7.
and you are indeed nominated or appointed by the previous governor.
Yes.
I rest it at that, to that extent.
Council, you're done?
Do you have any personal interest in this matter?
Personal interest.
Yes.
My personal interest from where I sit and stand is that I would rather see a leader who does not abuse people in public. I understand what verbal abuse, humiliation does to people. We are complaining of anxiety, depression.
Chair intervention. Chair.
Yes, Vice.
Father has been asked a different question, is answering something else. Can he answer the question from the council?
Council, can you repeat the question so that Father can respond?
The question is, do you have a personal interest in this matter?
Yes.
Yes, you do.
I have a
Thank you. It was just a yes or no. Thank you very much. The last question is the church above the law so that no one is supposed to question any acts, even where they feel that the church has committed
Again,
a wrong?
counsel, I am not speaking for the church.
That is all for this witness.
Thank you. My son, Boniface.
Honorable Chair, I have a few questions for the witness in the examination. I will refer the witness to Article 3 of the Constitution and Article 258 of the Constitution. He can begin with Article 3. I want him to read it aloud, Honorable Chair. You can read aloud.
Defense of this Constitution. Every person has an obligation to respect, uphold, and defend the Constitution. And then 258, which is in chapter 17, enforcement of this Constitution. Every person has the right to institute court proceedings claiming that this Constitution has been contravened or is threatened with the contravention.
Paragraph 2.
In addition to a person acting in their own interests, court proceedings under clause 1 may be instituted by a person acting on behalf of another person who cannot act in their own name, a person acting as a member of or in the interest of a group or a class of persons, a person acting in the public interest, or D, an association acting in the interest of one or more of its members.
So, from those two provisions, any person can bring proceedings to enforce the Constitution.
Yes, yes.
And that confirms, or rather, in what capacity then did you bring these proceedings?
I brought them from a personal capacity. Of course, I carry all those other identities as a priest and feelings when who I am is attacked, but I carry it as a person and a citizen who cares that there are people who may not be able to even read when something is wrong. From a community psychologist who I am, I can tell when something is wrong, and the Constitution gives me reason to say something isn't right here.
Honorable Chair, I would want this Honorable Committee and the Honorable Chair to take judicial notice of the fact that this committee sits as a high court. So when Article 258 refers to court proceedings, it would include this committee, which sits as a high court for purposes of this
raise your
proceedings.
voice.
I am saying, Honorable Chair,
Judicial notice?
of the fact that this Honorable Committee sits as a high court for purposes of these proceedings. So Article 258 would extend to this committee.
Honorable Chair.
Go on.
Further,
Sorry, there's a small objection there.
Honorable Chair, we wanted to find out whether that's an issue we should have an occasion to address. It's a point of law, but it's an issue of law that even goes to the jurisdiction of this committee and the scope of the work as an investigative body of the Parliament. We had desired to receive guidance from the chair whether we should canvass that as an issue. In what capacity is the members, honorable members of this committee sitting? Are they investigating, or are they here to hear a matter of a nature of a constitutional petition that should have been filed in the High Court. I think it's important we have clarity on that. Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I think it is the entire case of the governor that this is a quasi-judicial process. And they have been on record saying that many times in these proceedings. So it is, in fact, Article 258 does not relate to filing of constitutional petitions because those are provided for in Article 22 of the Constitution. So any person can bring proceedings, whether in the court or even at the assembly or even in this chamber, because for purposes of impeachment proceedings, this committee sits as a high court. And we were told in the morning that it can even summon witnesses to give evidence before this committee. So I hope that clears the air.
Thank you, Counsel. Have you finished addressing me on 258? Yes. Have you finished addressing me on 258?
Yes, I'm done with 258, Honorable Chair.
Where were you in 2010? You.
I was in class 8, Honorable Chair.
Class 8. In 2008 is when this constitution came in force. 2010. Where were you in 2005?
I was in class 3, Honorable
Class
Chair.
3.
Yes.
In 2005, when you were in class 3, I was seated at the Bomas Conference at Bomas of Kenya when we were laying the ground at the Bomas Conference that eventually progressed and gave us this constitution. Since there is a priest in the house, I'll remind you that it doesn't add any bonga points when you preach to a church choir. We were there before you were. We are the creators of Article 258. So what exactly are you looking for by referring to 258?
The point, Honorable Chair, Article 3 of the Constitution, let me begin with Article 3. It provides that any person can defend the Constitution. Any person has a right to do what, okay, not anything, but they can bring proceedings to defend the Constitution. Every person has that obligation. And it speaks to what Counsel asked in cross-examination, whether the priest is purporting to hold brief for the CS Agriculture, for the Senator of Meru County, or for the MP Tigania East. So the response, Honorable Chair, is that the priest need not have instructions from the CS Agriculture or from the Senator. Any person aggrieved by the utterances of the governor can bring proceedings to defend the Constitution. That is what Article 3 provides. And Article 258 provides that any person acting in the public interest can bring whatever proceedings to defend the Constitution.
Chair, I think Counsel has made his point and should now proceed with his. And you can always make submissions at the close of your case on some of those things so that we make some progress, Chair.
So that the record is not hanging, this is the affidavit by the priest.
Yes.
And in this affidavit, go to paragraph 7. On page 16.
I'm there, Chair.
Yes. It is the evidence of the priest on oath that he is speaking on the issue of verification of the Catholic Church. Yes?
I think the priest is speaking to vilification of various leaders, including the Catholic Church.
Yes, I'm going specifically to the church because you are in this sitting when the priest amended paragraph 7.
Yes.
And said that the issues pertaining to other people mentioned there, Njurinjeke, Senator, MCS, and so on, it is not his evidence. that his evidence is as far as he is concerned. So, since he's speaking on the issue of the judge, is it not fair that the lawyers of the governor ask him about matters before this committee pertaining to the verification of the Catholic Church? And the governor is accused, counsel, of having, in quotes, falsely accused the Catholic Church for purporting to receive the rent which is not deserved. So in the process, the counsel for the governor has used these proceedings to prove that the property actually doesn't belong to the Catholic Church, and he has put annexes. So how does he run away from there, and then you help him to go and now hide in the Constitution in Article 258? Why can't he just...
Honorable Chair,
Yes.
Article 3 of the Constitution.
Article?
My reference to Article 3 of the Constitution,
3.
and Article 258,
Yes.
is in response to the general context of paragraph 7, that the governor has been going around vilifying other leaders. And this has been consistent in the cross-examination of not just this witness, but other witnesses. Perhaps maybe when we come to our closing argument, we'll be able to buttress that point, that indeed our witnesses could have made the allegations he made against the governor of vilifying other leaders without, in fact, they do not need the express permission of those leaders, because it is in defense of the Constitution, and any
Chair.
citizen can do
Chair,
that.
can I just interject, Chair?
Yeah, I'll give you. Let me finish my flow of thought. So, counsel, if you may take your seat. Lead counsel, you will have to do your final submissions carefully, because then we have an affidavit which has evidence in paragraph 7 that has been amended by the witness, and yet the same witness has signed that affidavit. So you drive it nicely during submission. It is not a point of law. If
we
you
are
want-
guided, Chair.
Yes, yes.
We are guided, and I think the only point my colleague is trying to bring to the attention of everyone, there has been a narrative running since morning that why are you holding brief for so-and-so and he's not complaining? And the only point my colleague was trying to make in this line of questioning is that there is no legal requirement that the persons who are vilified should complain or file a witness statement before you, because if the vilification breaches the Constitution, any person can take up that matter. It doesn't have to be the person who was vilified. In this case, the church. In this case, the senator. In this case, the CS for agriculture, or indeed any of the many people. The only point we're trying to make, Chair, is that, and you forgive us, because as these questions arise both from our adversaries and from the plenary of the Senate, for us, we have a duty to ensure that especially the decision maker, which is the Honorable Committee, understands. If a question is asked that suggests that there is a legal requirement that the senator complains in person and the priest or whoever other witness cannot speak on his behalf, then we have to attempt to show that is not the law. And that's all we're doing. But I'm guided, Chair, when we get to the closing statement, I promise my team will not revisit this issue again so that it doesn't waste more time. We're already so late.
Thank you. I had my vice chair and Sifuna, you had issues?
See, Chair, I understand what council is saying, but you can imagine the predicament you have put us in as a committee when this person under Article 3 says he's going to take up the cause, but when he's on the witness box, when we ask him or when questions are put, he says he cannot speak for the Catholic Church. That is the difficulty that we're in.
Yeah.
Because you yourself in the morning was asking questions to the governor's team regarding some of the documents that they have produced. You are asking, were these documents available during the period of the impeachment? The questions we're asking ourselves, even as we proceed now, is all these people that are referenced in the father's affidavit are available to you. Are you telling us that you will be calling the diocese or a representative of a diocese so that those questions that council is putting on the question of the ownership of a land can be answered by a person in authority on behalf of the diocese? Because the father, when the question is put to him, he says, no, I cannot answer that on behalf of so and so. But that so and so is somebody who is available to you, including the senator for Meru, who is our colleague.
Let me tell you, County Assembly of Meru, we will not prove your case for you, but attorneys for the County Assembly of Meru, you could do slightly more. If you thought you wanted to introduce evidence, the evidence should be introduced by the most responsible person. In the Catholic Church, if the priest who you have brought, some of us are Catholics, so we are finding it very difficult. The priest you have brought then says he's not speaking for the Catholic Church. And the governor of Embu, of Meru, never attacked this priest from the evidence. The governor attacked the church. So why didn't you look for a priest, either an administrator, the parish priest, or what, however they are arranged there, to come and confirm to this house that the governor is lying, or rather misleading the house by claiming that they don't deserve rent?
We call this witness because he was present at the event in question. The reason we didn't call the bishop or any of these other people is because they were not present. But I must also point out, we were also working with the constraints we have one day. There is no way we can call 62 witnesses because I told you we have 62 specific allegations. It's just not pragmatic. We had to make certain judgment calls, and I don't think we can fairly be faulted for that. And in this case, the rule, as based on our professional training, is you call the witness who was at the event in question. That is the rationale upon which this particular witness was settled on.
Okay. So, okay, before I give you the vice chair, I'd given her a chance. Vice chair.
Let Senator come, because my question is different from what you are following up now.
Okay.
Chair, this is something the committee has been, I wouldn't say cautioning anymore, I would say encouraging you, counsel, and counsel from both sides. The witnesses here are not here to bring a new case. They are here to help you prove your case. And you run the risk of being highly disadvantaged if you do not see the essence of these witnesses in the spirit of Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act. Why am I saying this? Council, if it was the intention of the Constitution and subsequent laws that the threshold for removing a governor is absolutely confirmed at the county level, then you wouldn't be required to send this to the Senate. And the reason why I want to have this one recorded or registered in this particular committee is because the task we have is to prove the allegations beyond any reasonable doubt. It's an issue of threshold. It's not an issue of Article 258 or Article 3. So I am encouraging you again, utilize your witnesses to prove your case, to the extent that if you are making a determination as a committee, it's a determination
that brings your evidence beyond reasonable doubt. And such include instances where, if, as my colleague Senator of Nairobi, Senator Sifuna had said, in some instances, if there were allegations about verification of a senior leader who had even petitioned, or rather had even registered their concerns, even to a simple place as a police station, an LB number of reporting an issue of defamation. You see, these are hard evidence. But if you reduce this to a conversation about the opinions of the witnesses, then I really feel scared about the resulting determination going towards mere opinions other than proving the evidence. So I'm encouraging you once again, utilize your witnesses to be able to prove the evidence you have provided before this committee for the purposes of absolute threshold that merits Article 150, 181 and Section 33 of the Counties Government Act. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Chair, now I can come. My question is to the father. Yeah, I have a question to the father. Father, do you know that sorry?
Maybe I can conclude first, Chair.
Sorry, we are getting disorganized. Tobiko, why are you talking?
Chair, I wanted to pursue the line of Article 250.
I'll give you a chance once she's done. Council, why is your light on?
I wanted to continue with my examination. I conclude first, then we take the questions.
I'll give you. You'll be heard. Yes.
And my question is, do you know that the governor is the CEO of the county? And in that case, if she follows to know about that land, because she is the custodian of the properties of the county, is she following to know about the land and the details? And given what the council of the governor has just referred us to some documents that proves that the land belongs to the county, then according to that testimony, if I say that she was not wrong by coming to the church and asking or calling the church to ask about the land, she was not wrong. What is your take in this? Thank you.
Honorable, may I repeat again? I came as a witness to a conduct that is not of a public officer, captured in Chapter 6, Article 10, Article 73, 70, 75, even further, Sections 29 and 34 of officers' ethics. So mine I am addressing, while it's related to looking at who is the owner, mine is not, it's not to prove who is or is not, because the ownership of the land does not give a CEO the right to abuse a citizen. The rightship of ownership does not give one CEO permission to classify people as cartels, as corrupt, and dismiss and treat them in a humiliating way. I don't think the Constitution gives a CEO that permission.
Yeah, but
point of
my
order,
question...
Chair. Is it okay that the council has not finished and we're starting to question the witness? Just a point of order, so that we don't...
We are okay. It is because of the way the council has driven the process. Further, with maximum respect, I'm a Catholic. from Mukumu Parish in Kakamega. In 2013, the MCAs of the County Assembly of Kericho came here 4 months after the election. They wanted to remove the governor. Just like, is it 3 months now since the last election? Yeah. The MCAs also want to remove the governor of Meru. So we were in the same predicament. This is nothing new. I was there in this same chamber. And further, a decision was made that when a violation is there to cause a governor to be removed, you have as a committee to establish a nexus between that violation and the governor. Okay? So, there is an assumed violation before this committee today that the governor vilified the Catholic Church. So in the process of trying to get the nexus, we found that it is the issue of the ownership of the land. Really? Are we asking for too much when we say you help us to establish that nexus? And when we put it to you, you tell us you are not here for those reasons. You are here in your individual capacity. Father, with due respect, you should help us. If you can't, then you should divorce yourself completely, because that's the only thing that brought you here. If it was a question of personal, then you would be telling us, I went to the police station and reported the matter because my life had been threatened. The nexus is on the ownership of the property. We are going to find that the governor is culpable because she has found land owned by the church and demeaned the church by saying, you are wrong to be receiving rent. But when it is the way it is now, what grounds would we have to now find the governor culpable? So you help us. Just maintain your cool. Yeah?
Sure.
I don't know whether I've made my point.
I have, Honorable Chair.
Chair, I still want to follow up my question.
I'll give you, I want to hear the priest.
Honorable Chair, yes, the nexus ends up with the fact that the church, the land is registered under Meru County, but going by the laws upon which that land has been acquired, used, and settled, the church has been there. And that's the reason why I'm saying I came because of a certain way of dealing with that, is because I want to believe the behavior of a CEO is an important question in the Constitution, irrespective of what exactly drives that behavior. The behavior is driven by finding out that the land belongs to the Meru County and the MYS and rent and leased it. And that's why I'm saying, personally, my argument is the breach, violation of the Constitution when it comes to ethics. That's because it's part of it. Ownership of land is part of the Constitution. Behavior and the ethics of a CEO is part of the Constitution. So, Chair, I'm caught in between lumping them together, which they are related. But my summation and my thoughts and my feelings, what I felt when I was put in that situation, is not dependent on who owns the land. It's dependent on the behavior that is captured in Chapter 6, that is captured in Public Officers Act, and I want to believe those are equally laws that protect Kenyans, and as there's been presented, one can begin a process as a person feeling aggrieved. So in my mind, I have the separation of those two. That's why I feel, I say, there is the competent authority to deal with the land ownership. That's not my area. My area is the way I was treated. And I saw other Lindas treated. Honorable Chair, I was in US for 10 years, and one time I was treated badly because of my race. So probably that's the reason why I'm so sensitive to how people treat others. And then I'm back in my land, and I'm treated as a criminal right where I was working with the youth. It hurt me. It took me back to that time when police was conned on me simply because I'm black. So that's part of it, is that I feel there is a certain conduct that does not befit a CEO. Whatever the reason is, it doesn't fit that decorum.
Colleagues, some of you are feeling that the point is made, and maybe we don't want to belabor, because the evidence is now clear that the priest is not here to speak to the charge, which is vilification of the Catholic Church. Isn't it? Yeah. Yeah? Pardon, Vice Chair? Yes.
Yeah,
so he has said it's not to come here to speak to the vilification of the Catholic Church, and you heard the earlier comment by Senator Sifuna when he challenged Mr. Honorable Kiogora to show us in the video where the governor had demanded for money from the church. So I think we've gotten enough. Let us allow the priest to conclude his case. But council, bear with me. I'm not allowed to stop a member from speaking. I'm supposed to keep the mic. So I must give the mic to the Vice Chair and Senator Tobiko. The standing orders don't allow me to stop somebody from speaking. So, Vice Chair.
Chair, I think because he has now run away from his own affidavit, then do we discard this and take it out of the evidence that has been given to this Senate?
Very good. When we retreat for report writing, we will give this affidavit the weight that it deserves, based on the evidence that has been adduced. Yes, Senator Tobiko.
Chair, I don't know whether mine has been overtaken by events, because I was going to follow on the line that the council was following on the issue of legalities, Article 258, Chair, that, you know, we cannot shroud this process with legalities, you know, that the council should seek to prove their case with facts and run away from allowing your witnesses to drop the ball, because as you see, the direction the father has taken, the issue of the Catholic Church will now look like it will be pushed aside. The other witness we had, the lady, also ran away from the issue of forceful entry of the county assembly and went to the personal issue of what the governor had previously called women nominated MCAs. And so, I mean, if you have another witness coming, please let them stick to the case. I'm sure you must have had each witness coming to prove a certain point. I didn't want to get particularly into the issue of the father, because for the record, my respect for the men of cloth, I actually did not intend to ask questions to the priest, because he's a priest, the governor is a bishop. I would have wanted to keep off from the two, let them deal with their conscience.
Council Boniface.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Senators, we are guided accordingly. and we will take all your sentiments into consideration. Honorable Chair, I have a few questions. I still have a few questions for the witness. I will first refer the witness to volume 2, which is the Governor's Index of Annexures, and specifically page 147. Are you there?
Sure.
Okay. Part B of that reads, read out part B, that is the proprietorship section.
I'm not sure we're on the same page. Sorry.
Page 147, Honorable Chair. Yes. Part B, which shows the proprietorship section. I think you can see a date there, the 15th of February 1984.
Yes. Meru County Council.
Yes. Then there is a Meru County Council is the name of the registered proprietor. And then I think on even date there is a registration adjudication board, registration adjudication record by the clerk to the council on the same date. So there is part A of that document, Honorable Chair, which reads property section. So, Father Elias Kinoti, do you see a part written easements on that part A? Easements. Easements on part A. Restriction is on part B. Part A on the top of the document.
Yes, I've seen it.
Easement. Sorry, Council, my eyes have been growing with me. I can't read very well.
What did the young man do?
Goodness. It's on the top of the document here.
Yes, go ahead, make your point.
Are you there, Father Elias?
Yes.
I want you to read it aloud. What does it, the rows under the second column on easements, what does it say?
Reserved for Igoji Arambe Secondary School.
So,
Yes.
under part B, the property is owned, or the proprietor rather, is Meru County Council. Yes?
Yes, there is.
But under part 8 is specifically reserved for Igoji Arambe Secondary School.
Yes.
Okay. On to the next issue. Why do you think
Order,
that the
Council.
allegations
Order,
against the
Council.
governor?
Please, let me guide you for the final time. If you may take your seat. You are now playing with matters of courts. In this constitution, courts are differentiated by their jurisdiction. This court where you are seated now is a quasi-judicial process that enjoys some of the powers of the High Court, some, that are only limited to what we are doing now. You are now bringing an issue of the land court, and you want a committee that I'm chairing to preside over the same. I'm just guiding you. A few minutes earlier, you brought in matters under the jurisdiction of the High Court. 258, I want you tonight to go and read 165 together with 258. We are not ignorant people. Otherwise, we would not have been allowed to sit here. So don't play around with points of law Bring your evidence. Let us listen to it. We want to rule in your favor. Tomorrow, the governor will come with evidence. We will rule in her favor. Whoever wins the balance. Forget about points of law. All this bench you see here are lawyers of the Legal Counsel of Parliament, highly qualified like you. So take it easy, relax. When you now ask the priest to talk about the ownership of, who doesn't know out of common sense that all property owned by county councils are reserved for various identities? The fact that the Meru County Council reserved this property for the Harambee School doesn't mean the property is not for the county council. Another one they have reserved for a cattle dip. Another one for a dispensary. True or false? So why are you taking me around?
No, Honorable Chair.
Yes? Yeah, that's what the county governments are doing. Take it easy. We know these things, but we don't brag because we are old men. Yeah?
Chair, with your permission, at this particular stage of these proceedings, I feel that you should now restrict your benevolence in giving advice to council from the county assembly. Just specify the amount of time that they have left. Let them do with that time what they think is helpful from their own perspective, because they don't seem to be getting the directions from the chair.
So I'll give you have finished your time. If you want to use your time on points of law, go ahead. If you want to use it to give us evidence, we'll listen to the evidence. By points of law, I have got lawyers here who will tell me what the law is saying. I don't need your counsel. Please. Proceed.
I'm guided accordingly, Chair. And as you've aptly captured, Honorable Chair, I am very well aware that this is not the land court. The point that I actually wanted to bring out is that in as much as this land, the registered proprietor is a Meru County Council, the land is specifically reserved for Igoji Harambee Secondary School. That is the only point I wanted to bring out. And you remember that in cross-examination, the witness was referred to this particular document by counsel for the governor. That is the only point I wanted to raise. I did not really intend to take you in runs, Honorable Chair. But to continue with the re-examination, Father Elias Kinoti, why do you think that the allegations against the governor are gross?
Sorry, please come again, Counsel.
Why are the allegations against the governor gross?
They are gross, especially when you go to areas of leadership and integrity. Often, I think Kenyans, we think integrity is only matters money, but also matters behavior are even more serious. Matters treating other citizens, matters of humiliating and malicious calling names, classification of other people without proper evidence and conclusive processes, usurping the power of the National Lands Commission, which should be able to deal with that land well. So these are, and particularly coming from a psychology perspective, when one and as other people, leaders have been called names in public, it causes serious damages that you do not see a scar or a bandage put on. And that's why personally I felt I need to share that, because it is we are having problem with our students killing and burning each other out of examples of violence in public.
Finally, Father, what do you want this Honorable Committee to do?
I would pray that this Honorable Committee takes away this or any other leader, if it comes, who gives bad example, especially in terms of violence. We shouldn't be a society that never accepts violence for any reason. Otherwise, we'll keep beating our wives, borrowing from our CEO, who will beat a group of people because has found a land that has a different registration and a different user. Someone will call people names and they can go scot-free. Hounds love to see a society in which an organ of this magnitude gives us a clear indication that violence is not acceptable. Humiliation of people in public is not acceptable. Vilification and calling people names is not acceptable. I hope we can get to that point. And I believe, and that's why I came to this very important committee, honorable members, because I felt it is fair to share my thoughts.
That is all for this witness, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Counsel. You may take your seat. Priest, you're still there. Your time is not yet done. Members, do you have anything to raise with the priest? Yes, Esther?
Thank you, Chair. And going by your earlier statement, maybe I would leave out the first question I wanted to ask on whether we are now dealing with the issue of, because from the issues that were raised, it was showing that the governor vilified your faith, and therefore a breach of faith and morality. So there comes a question, should the governor be impeached for breach of faith or morality? So I'm ignoring that, but for the cases of this going to record, I thought I should mention. So further, my question is, as a Christian and citizen of Kenya, which you have stated, are you aware that Article 159 of the Constitution of Kenya recognizes alternative dispute resolution as a dispute resolution mechanism? Have you made any prompt attempt to settle the matter through alternative dispute resolution?
I haven't. And when I heard about this, I thought it's part of the constitutional possibilities in addressing the same problem, in addition to the possibility of NDT.
Yes, Chair, I'm done.
Thank you, Chair. I must say that I feel like my church is on trial. I'm a Catholic too, but I would want to hear from Father Kinoti, because in the doctrine of the Catholic Church, we seek justice, not vengeance. If this committee was to find the governor guilty of some of these allegations, would you recommend to this committee to exercise forgiveness?
Honorable member, I want to believe this sitting is sitting based on the law of the land. And I don't remember any part of the Constitution that has forgiveness. Not because forgiveness is not practiced by Christians or done. And forgiveness comes through the process of one, identifying truth, justice, and then fulfilling the damages done. And then and only then does forgiveness make sense. So this process, once it's able to find the truth justly and make its legal pronouncements, there are very many areas of forgiveness. I tend to think I want to believe, I haven't found anywhere in the Constitution where it says once the Senate finds someone guilty, it's free to forgive. Forgiveness is in another forum, Christian forum. This is a process of justice. It is a process of trying to satisfy damages done. Like you conclude the governor is not guilty. Am I free, is she free for us to go and say, you know, that day you talked and I felt bad and it's time for us to forgive each other? That's not in the Constitution, but it is a Christian obligation. And I think it's fair to separate those things and see them in their proper place. A Senate is set not to satisfy the Bible requirement, but the constitutional requirement. That's where I think I might be wrong.
I think, Chair, that's all. But the priest talked about the sin of, I think, calumny, destruction, I think.
It's calumny.
Calumny, yes. Whereby somebody reveals the hidden faults of another without sufficient cause. Would we say the same is happening to the governor?
Honorable member, it's someone reviews hidden secrets of someone that need not to be revealed. That's a calumny.
Okay.
So the conduct of the CEO of Meru are not hidden. That's why we have plenty of videos showing her speak and sending venom into community. So it's not hidden.
So you said that referring to yourself. So that means they are hidden to you.
That which is on video and public, it's hidden to me. It's not hidden to me, and it's not hidden to the public.
That's all, Chair.
Senator Sifuna.
Father, I'm also going to disclose, I'm sure you know that I'm also Catholic. I am curious to understand, in my thinking, the character of a person is something that is developed over a long period of time. You've been a resident of Meru for how many years?
For 50 years.
50 years. These things that the governor is accused of, your governor was a former women rep of Meru. Would you say that when the people of Meru went to the ballot on the 9th to make her governor, they knew who she was?
Perfectly no.
Yeah?
Perfectly no. You can't know someone perfectly.
They
But
didn't
they under a view of what type of a person she is. She's a politician.
In her time as your women rep, was she ever accused of the sort of disrespect, humiliation of leaders, and all these other things? Did these matters ever come up during her term as women rep of Meru?
In matters of political exchange, there was always a lot of discomfort between her and other leaders. She has this Baita TV where she really does presentations of things, and it vilifies other people.
So this, even if they were true, these are not new things that the governor has developed in her character. This is who the people of Meru elected. They knew when they went to the ballot that this is who Kawira Mwangaza is, and they voted for her as governor.
Yes, and if she is that person,
just answer. They knew her. These are not new developments about her. She has not acquired any new traits.
Well, after she is a governor, the strain has become more.
I thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Further, I will take you to page 19 of your affidavit, paragraph 21 and 22, where you've stated that the allegations of grabbing public land are false, since the land was allocated to the Catholic Church by the defunct county council. On paragraph 22, you've said that the Catholic Church is a bona fide and legal landowner. How do you want us to take this part of the affidavit? Do you want us to expand it in your own statement, or to still leave it here? Because you said you've not come here to prove or disapprove the land ownership. So please tell us for the purpose of the answer and clearly.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I go back to something I said before, going by the Trusts Act, while I am not the competent authority to do, but going by the Trust Act, occupation of land, use of that land, the Act provides, while the registration, and this is not the only land, there are quite many pieces of land that will be under the Meru County government, county council, but is used by a different user. So there are many lands. So it is on that
Chair,
basis
in
I mentioned
case,
that.
Chair, on paragraph 21, if the land was allocated to the Catholic Church, can you prove through any form of documentation that this land belongs to the Catholic Church?
I do not have a document for that.
Bishop, priest, let me refer to your. Oh, can you hear me? Reverend, and Father Elias Kinoti, right? Is
Sure.
that a good address?
Yes.
Of course, I'm cautious that you've been running away from your affidavit, but it is my only point of reference, Chair, if you allow me. In your affidavit, and on page 15, paragraph 5, given my position as a Catholic priest and a member of the board, I have personal knowledge of the following allegations. Personal knowledge, underline, as set in the impeachment motion, the allegation relating to the appointment of the governor's husband to the non-existence position of patron, Meru Youth Service. This is an issue that has been coming out a lot. Are you familiar with the term First Lady in the county governance structures?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Could you tell this committee what you perceive as the role of First Ladies with regards to effectiveness of running a county?
First ladies or first gentlemen play the role of supporting whoever is the governor, and they can pick an item where they can do corporate social responsibility, and it is done not within the processes of law unless the position they are given is advertised or they go through the county public service. So mostly it is more of corporate social responsibility action.
So two things very quickly. First of all, you admit, without my asking, that there is a role for First Ladies that is akin to the roles of First Gentlemen.
Yes.
And you further say they can pick on a role that is supportive, that is non-existence in the structures of county governance.
Yes.
The roles that you've talked about, are they existence in the structures of county governance by law?
They are not.
But they can do it.
They can do something that is empowers the citizens.
And in your affidavit, you say that you have a problem with the First Gentleman of Meru, under the paragraph I just read, of taking a non-existent role.
Yeah, in the structure and management of MIS, it's not there.
As a patron?
It is not there.
Okay. I rest my case, Chair.
Yes, come on.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, Article 10 of the Constitution, Article 10, Part 2, on national values and principle of governance include patriotism, national unity, sharing and devolution of power, the rule of law, democracy, and participation of the people. In your own opinion, do you think impeaching a governor who is hardly 3 months in office as going contrary to the principle of patriotism? Do you understand? Do you think, in your own opinion, that impeaching a governor who his 103 months in office as going against the principle of patriotism?
Your Honor, I would like to answer that by saying that there is no long or short time to be patriotic. Patriotism can mean ending something that would be as red flags that could send citizens or send a nation into conflict or something of that kind. And what I personally have seen the governor do, creating groups that are antagonistic, vilifying people, that's not patriotism. And if these red flags are right, I remember the council started by giving us an example of what happened in Europe. Probably we are saying, let's wait and see. Is patriotism, is there a time when patriotism of wait and see could actually be dangerous? Is there a time that wait and see could be actually give a room for someone to improve? So that's something that I would rather leave to the honorable members of this committee. But from where I sit and what I have seen red flags. And I'm asking myself what would be happen if this goes on for 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. And from my point of view, patriotism would be cutting a bud before it grows into a big tree. Before we have a South Sudan, before we have a Meru that is fighting Catholics versus Protestants like Ireland, where we have MCAs vilified and they no longer feel comfortable to work among the people. So patriotism means the wisdom to read this is going the wrong direction and it needs to be ended when it is the right time. It means reading this is going to change and we give it time, and that's not my take. I leave it that to this August meeting committee.
Very well. Council, if you, I'm not inviting you to address, I just want to make a communication to you. If you look at volume 5 of your documents, page 19, bullet 23, or is it article 23? Yeah? I want you, when you are addressing us in your submissions, you clarify whether this witness was coached by the star witness or whether the witness was colluding with this by his own admission. You clarify when telling that. Then further, finally, you have just confirmed for 50 years you have been living in Meru, to the question by the Senator of Nairobi.
Yes, Your Honor, apart from 10, I was away from Kenya.
So that is your home?
It's a home.
Very good. Father Kinoti.
Sure. Yeah.
I have heard something from you which I have never heard from a priest. That you're saying there are circumstances where the biggest demonstration of Christianity, love, can be set aside. And love is demonstrated through forgiveness. You have said categorically, forgiveness, no. I'm not saying this committee is sitting to find ways of forgiving governor, but that has made me to ask you the following two questions. Is this emotional piece of evidence based on the evidence by the governor on page 153, Council, show the priest, of the blue document by the governor, volume 2, page 53, 153, you're there? In that letter, the Bishop of Meru is acknowledging receipt of 5.5 million shillings. Is your emotion, maybe, could you confirm?
Based on
the fact that now here is a new governor who apparently is going away with a goose that was laying multi-million eggs. That's one.
Okay.
That's one.
Honorable Governor.
Two.
Okay, thank you.
Two, and finally, Father, I'm glad you are a psychologist. There is the psychology of faith-based prejudices. Are you prejudiced against this governor because she belongs to her own church, which is not Catholic?
Thank you, Your Honor. Let me start with the first one on question of love and forgiveness, and clarify that I said what I meant. Christianity is practiced on love, which is seen through forgiveness. And I said, and I'll be happy to repeat, the constitutional dispensation looks for justice, looks for amendment of the one who is wrong. Forgiveness may happen, and again, I might be wrong. I have not seen the Constitution say, not because it's not a Christian practice, not because love is not a Christian practice, but it is not a legal process. I don't know whether I'm making that separation clear. Like, we do not have a chapter in our Constitution that says once things have been done this way, it's time to forgive. That's our Christian conviction and our Christian processes. And that's why one of the honorable asked whether I used the alternative dispute resolution mechanism. That's another area where we do exercise forgiveness, where we do exercise love. But in a process of this nature, unless I'm not a lawyer, I'm not privy to the information that part of a legal process like this ends up with forgive.
Proceed. I was consulting.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chair. I recall the big problem we had in this country on Justice and Peace Reconciliation Commission, where we were not able to deal with the historical injustices because at some point we went to forgive when we are not gotten what? When we are not gotten the procedural justice, when we are not gotten exactly who was wrong, when we have not gotten who needs to satisfy what. We moved from we need justice, peace, and reconciliation, started our process, but we jumped to forgiveness. We left these other processes. So that's exactly what I mean, that this process is, as I understand, is intended to get the details of what has happened. Who is wronged? Who is wrong? Not so that you can hang them, so that whoever it is pays for the damages, and the paying for damage is part of process of forgiveness. That is why even when people sit in the village, they say, yes, you are wrong, you went wrong, and the person says, in order for me to compensate for the mistakes I've done, take these 5 cows. So you see, forgiveness includes remedy for the sin done, for the wrong done. That's what I mean. Okay. Forgiveness is part of a Christian life, and it has that. The second issue is on the money.
Second issue?
The second issue is on the money. I've even know it goes to an institution. It's paid to an institution. My emotional presence here is based on what I understand Alinda can do by dealing with the people with violence, vilifying, humiliating, not having that wholeness and undivided, which is integrity. I feel this is even a bigger problem. It is not, that's nothing to do with the money. And finally, the other issue was
Prejudice.
prejudice. Well, one of the things that I deeply understand is how prejudice plays out. And that's why I'm here. Not because I'm prejudiced, but because I saw it towards me as a Catholic, towards us as a church, towards my bishop who is humble and quiet. Even though he never sent me, I felt that prejudice. So you have bring a very important point. But it's not prejudice towards our church. I hear it here as a church. I have never paid attention where it is, how it operates. It is purely because I received that prejudice that I am here. That's why I'm here. That's the way I felt.
Thank you, Father. You can now step down, and as you go, I want you to know that the chairman on this matter of the executive, when we were writing this constitution, was Reverend Bishop Solometi, a Catholic bishop.
Thank you, Chair, and everyone.
Very well. So, Kanza, I can see you are laughing. I don't know why. Can you give us the next and final witness?
Yes, Chair, our last witness will be Honorable Mwenda Idhile, and he'll be examined by my friend, rather my learned friend, Boniface Mawira, and he will testify about the theme of vilification and humiliation of other leaders.
How much time will you need?
Mawira can give that. Chair, again, maybe so that we don't go back to the reason we've called this witness is because he was present